The mountain of gold left everyone speechless. Regardless of how strongly they had believed in its existence, no one could look at this much real gold and not be shocked. Everyone was stunned by the gold. First one to break the silence and jump around in ecstasy was Hideyoshi. Laying on an excited laugh, he clung to the wall of gold. Then he felt the cold, hard touch of it all over his cheek. Oh, whoa. Still, hold up. What's this weed? What's this weed shit, huh? Now that we have this much? Hey, yo! When did I say I was sharing? Yeah. With that, you could. But unfortunately, you don't have that. You know who has that? Battler. And not just any battler. The battler controlled by Burn. So, you know, not the best kind of battler you want to be dealing with. Probably not. Ava and Rosa moved towards each other at the same time and hugged as they broke down crying. Ecstasy and shock, wonder and sighs. After stepping forward in front of the pile of gold that had caused these mixed emotions, Erika spoke as though she were an announcer in some show. Why are we talking like everyone's getting a piece? Like if this were regular battler, I'm sure like he definitely share with his family. He cares about the family. Like he wants to see him like he said, he's like, fuck, I don't need a whole 20 billion. Fuck am I gonna do with 20 billion? I'm sure he'd spread the love, but this ain't just regular battler we're talking about here.
丸一日さえ過ごしてないあなたが一日で解けないなら何日をかけようとも解けません。
Fuck you.
灰色の脳細胞はひらめきを与えるのに瞬きする以上の時間を必要とします。そして私一人ではバトラさんの功績もどうか称えてあげてください。皆さん。
Yes, praise my other piece that I also controlled.
私はこの発見、推理が正しかったことが証明されただけでよって黄金発見の私はここにおりますが、イボはいないものとしてバトラさんはいとこの皆さんに気づかれぬように大人の皆さんだけを呼び出しました。それが意味するところはただ皆さんに本当の親族会議を開いていただきたいからに他なりません。
エリカ、勝手に仕切るんじゃねえ。
これは失礼し、それでは理事の進行役を譲り、では誰に？
Shrugging, Erika looked around at everyone. After a short period of silence, Ava made the first move.
昼間の取り決め全員。
ああ、4人で25億ずつを山分けだ。
Okay, y'all are saying that like you found it. Ha ha. Hey, listen. Ha ha. Ooh, y'all. That's crazy. That's crazy. Y'all think you found it. Y'all acted like you found it. You ain't find it.
次期当主にはさらに100億。
Yeah. That was if one of you found it, though. That was if one of you found it, huh? That was if one of the siblings found it. That was the deal that the siblings made. I don't remember Badler being a part of those talks. I don't remember Badler agreeing to that little settlement there. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, if this was a regular Badler, I'm sure he'd take that easy. Homie gets to keep 10 bill, and then split, and then just give 2.5 to the fam. Be like, yeah, y'all do well. Y'all get some. Everyone thrive a little bit. Settle your debts, thrive a little bit. Buy yourself something nice, but not too nice, or else you're probably going debt. I know how you work, sir. But this ain't normal Battler. Burn Battler? Who knows what Burn Battler gonna do? I don't know. But I doubt it's gonna be, charitable.
お待ちなさい。黄金の発見が次期当主を決めるなどと誰が決めたのですか？
Here come the arguments.
おっと、そうはいかんで、夏日さん。これまでずっとそれを前提に話を進めてき
Here
た
comes the arguments. Let's go.
今さらそれは白々しいとちゃうんか？
そうだわ。使用人の誰かが碑文を解いてしまって次期当主を名乗るかもしれないって怯えてたのは夏日姉さんじゃない。
どこにもそうだという明記はないがね。
Yeah, so now it's everyone against Kraus, Nazi, and Jessica. Because I'm sure Jessica's gonna fight it as well. Now that it's actually real, it's actually threatening to take away Kraus' spot. Of course, Kraus is gonna fight for it, and of course, Nazi's gonna fight for her man. And of course, Jessica's gonna fight for her dad, but everyone else is like, nah. Nah. Well, actually, they're not even fighting about the money. I'm stupid. But it's the title of successor. But yeah, no, it's still gonna be everyone else against those two. And I'm 3, Jessica. Because they're gonna be like, no, but it's not gonna be like everyone on the same side though. Because person A over here is gonna be like, nah. Well, no, it really will be, because they're just like, no, we don't want Kraus to have it. Fuck you. Oh, it's going to Battler? What the fuck ever. You don't get it. Haha.
卑劣感。私たち全員はそういう認識。
そうだぜ兄。今さら手のひらを返そうってのか？
明文化されてなくてもそれは間違い話にもならないとおっしゃるのはどうなのかしら。当主様の碑文を勝手に解釈されるのは黄金を見つけたらそのものが次期当主に。当主様の碑文は当主様が決め、皆さんに決めつける権利などありません。
Alright. Bring us the head.
夏日、落ち着きなさい。
これが落ち着けるというの。確かに碑文を解いた功績は素晴らしいとバトラ君にも何かの見返りがあっても良いとは思います。
Yes, you should.
しかしそれが半分というのは明らかに逸脱していますし、それ以上に発見者だから次期当主という論法はなおまかり通りません。
今日の昼間にしてた話と全然違う。
同感だぜ。明文化されてなくても碑文を解いたやつが次期当主になるってのは俺たちの。それをこの土壇場でごちゃごちゃ言い出すのはフェアじゃねえぜ。ああ、フェアじゃねえ。
とにかく。
Anyway, yeah, that's not fair, is it? Anyway.
この黄金はお父様の許可なく勝手に分配を決めていいものではありません。
Oh yeah? Oh yeah? Go get him, Nazi. Go get him. You know what's coming.
そら卑怯やでな。わしらその話を延々と昼間の話を全部チャラや言うんか？そらあんまりやで。
多数決で決めれば黄金を発見したバトラ君が私も夫も異議はない。ルドルフたちは？ローザは？
異議なんかねえぜ。バトラー、よくやった。
私も異議はないわ。バトラ君は碑文に選ばれた正当な後継ぎよ。不満ならお父様に直接聞けばいいんだわ。
そうね。夏日姉さんの言った通り碑文の謎を出題、そしてこの黄金の本来の持ち主もだったらお父様に話を聞くべきじゃないのかしら。バトラ君という発見者はどう扱われるのか、それについて決めていいのはお父様だけのはずだわ。
Yeah. Listen, I get it. You're trying to defend your man, but also you gotta learn to dial it back and maybe not pop off so hard. Like the head's gold. The head takes care of it. Like, all right, take us to the head. We'll have a talk with the head then. But you can't. He's really tired. He said, don't wake me up. And like, I get it. This is, a very extreme circumstances. But like he said, don't wake him up. So it's like, Nazi, I love you, but you can't. Don't fall back on that. Yep. Yeah, and Kraus is like, God damn it. We were doing so well.
お父様に聞きましょうよ。お父さん、もはやね、兄さんたちの出番じゃないのよ。
せやあんたらじゃ話にならへん。ほんまの親族会議を始めようやないか。眠いから明日にしろっちゅう問題に見えまっか。
Yeah, right? He just had to go and mention the head. It was one thing to like fight against it, to be like, no, I don't think we should just immediately, decide all this and whatnot. It's one thing. But you had to go and bring the head into it. You brought the head into it, so now they're like, oh, you want to bring the head? Bring the head. Don't take that out of context.
これ舐めとったらえらい問題になりますぜ。おう、聞いとるんかい。お前らじゃ話にならん言うとる。たったとお父さん連れてくんかい。
親族会議っていつもこういう
俺が知るか。
腹の中ではいつもどうもこの場は金蔵さんじゃないと子供の喧嘩に余命あとわずかと宣告されてる今にどういう気持ちかしらね。
Okay, yeah, get to reasoning. The parents ignored Badler and Attica and kept yelling at each other, on and on. Even though Badler had more or less imagined that this sort of thing happened behind the scenes, it was the first time he'd seen it. He'd suspected it since 6 years ago, and he'd been able to get a pretty good idea of what this was like, by the darkening expressions on his parents' faces when this time of year drew near. However, this argument his relatives were having before his very eyes was much more ugly than he'd imagined. That's why he was very glad that he'd called the adults out here without letting the cousins catch wind of anything. Perhaps because everyone was tired out from the seemingly endless argument, they took a short break. It was decided that this family conference inside the Golden Land should be moved over to the mansion. This place may have been gorgeous like a VIP room, but there was no heating and it was a little cold. It wasn't well suited for a long conversation. They thought of the possibility that someone might snatch the gold away while their backs were turned, but of course no one can manage much with just human hands in a small amount of time when it's 10 tons of gold they're dealing with. In fact, it might be said that having this mountain of gold in the background was actually robbing them of the ability to make sound decisions. So they agreed to return to the mansion, in part so that they could regain their composure and continue the conference more cold-bloodedly.
So それでは私は今夜はこれ以上はお邪魔でしょうから。
お、悪いな、気を使わせちまったか。
あなたへのお礼は明日恥ずかしいところを見せてごめんなさい。
あなたは辞退すると私たちはあなたへの感謝の気持ちを込めてねえ兄さん。
君ほどの人だ。我々の事情は察してくれると思うね。
$20 billion yen in gold isn't something they wanted out in the open. They didn't want an outsider like Attica telling people about it. They think it's hush money, I see. They're like, oh yes, let's just prepare a gift of gratitude, of course, a gift of gratitude. And you won't tell anyone about our, generosity, would you? Of course, Attica had already reasoned out that much. She wore an unpleasant smile on her face as though she understood all too well.
私のことはお気になさもちろん口外する気もありません。したところで証拠を示せぬ限り今夜は良いものを眼福でしたので私はこれでもう十分です。
10トンの黄金なんてなかなか見られるものじゃないもんね。
Seeing the gold was the spectacle? Of course not. Judging by Attica's dark nature, it's obvious what she's so happy about. I thought about telling her to just go away, but even I wanted to get out of this place. I tried to head back to the guest house along with Attica. However, Kirei-san grabbed my shoulder.
バトラ君はダメよ。あなたも一緒に来てちょうだい。
Yeah, you can't go, Mr. Discoverer.
せやせや、君は今や立派なお父さんにお目通りして早くそれを認めてもらわんとな。
Yeah, I'm sure that's very likely to happen.
それを決めていいのは当主様だけです。
Then go get us some head.
ことを決めないように。
Okay, I purposely phrased it like that time, but no.
バトラ、面倒だろうが、もうしばらく付き合ってもらうぜ。お前は何も言うな。黙ってうつむいてりゃいい。分かったな。
好きにしやがれ。
It would have been easy to say that had I. It would be easy to say that I had no interest in being the successor. I was sure that would only add more oil to the fire. Yeah. Even if I hadn't been ordered to keep quiet, saying shut up like a clam was clearly a good idea. In that case, would it really be so bad if they just let me go back to the guest house? Dad put his arm firmly around my shoulder and told him it was uncomfortable and to let go. However, he didn't pay attention to a word I said.
Hibun, お前のお望み通りに。お前がゲームマスターの時には、碑文を解いてみろ。解けなきゃ皆殺しだ。みたいな。
Why did she want to make us solve the riddle of the epitaph? By solving it, we found a mountain of gold. Yippee for us. What about Beato? Does she gain anything by having us find the gold? Or does she lose something?
チェスパン思考にのっとる限り、人はだからお前は、俺たちが碑文を解くことで何か得をするはずなんだ。
いいえ、碑文を誰かが解くことで、この子が何かを得ることはありません。
いいの、こいつに断らずに、勝手に赤き真実。
この子もそれを望むでしょうから。
Vergilia, who had suddenly appeared there, quickly gave an answer to my question with the red truth.
俺は過去に、ベアトが碑文を俺たちに黄金の隠し場所を見つけさせて、横取りするため、それも違うのか。
That would count as something to gain.
第一、もともと黄金鏡の黄金は見つけさせる必要も横取りする必要も何もありません。
Of course. Beato is Beatrice the Golden. Isn't she the master of the Golden Land and the Ushiromiya family alchemist? That totally makes sense. However, that makes me even more confused. Even if someone exposed the answer to the epitaph's riddle, Beato has nothing to gain. No, to the contrary, her own gold might be stolen away.
なら、ますますにわからない。碑文殺人はわかる。後ろ宮家に対する復讐とか、あるいはこいつなりの理由や目的があってやってるんだろうからな。だが、碑文の謎を解けというのには、俺たちが解いても解かなくても、こいつに、つまりベアトにとって碑文の謎が解ける解けないという問題は無価値なものなんだ。
そうですね。碑文の謎が解けても解けなくても、この子にとって得るものは何もありません。
解けても解けなくても、それはつまり碑文の謎自体がベアトにとって無価値だということになるんじゃないのか。
そうですね。碑文の謎はこの子にとって何の意味もない。ならばそれを無価値であると極論しても言い返せないかもしれませんね。
Beato, why are you making us solve the epitaph's riddle? If we liken the witch you are to a pair of scales, the epitaph murders lie on one plate, and the riddle of the epitaph lies on the other plate. After all, she's saying she'll stop the epitaph murders if the epitaph is solved. In other words, the epitaph murders and the epitaph's riddle are worth the same to Beato, like two sides on a balanced scale. That means that both the epitaph's riddle and massacring all the relatives are equally significant from Beato's point of view. But Vergilia responded with the red truth. Regardless of whether the epitaph is solved or not, Beato has nothing to gain. If she has nothing to gain, then this epitaph's riddle is meaningless and immaterial to Beato. And in that case, how much of the epitaph murders, which lie on the other side of the scales and are equal to the epitaph's riddle in value? Worth to her. Not a damn thing. Think. Don't stop thinking. The epitaph murders and solving the riddle of the epitaph have equal worth. As long as the epitaph murders, which are Beato's goal each time, have this single way that they can be stopped, a way that she decided on herself, both are worth the same thing to her. X equals Y. And whether the epitaph's riddle is solved or not, Beato has nothing to gain. Y equals 0. So in this case, what is X?
おいおい、それじゃ碑文殺人もまた無意味無価値ってことになっちまう。こいつはご丁寧に予告状を出し、碑文に沿うように順番にバレないように次々殺していくという毎度おかしな連続殺人を起こしてるんだぜ。その意味がなくなっちまうじゃねえか。
Bro, it's always been just a game to her. What are you talking about? Spun the chessboard around and searched through Beato's moves over and over. There's always the first place I stumble. The significance of the epitaph murders. Why did she have to commit serial murders in a way that reproduced the witch's epitaph? If she wanted to kill the whole Ushiromiya family for revenge, it'd be much simpler, safer, and more reliable if she just put poison into their dinner. Or else went around killing people one by one in the middle of the night while they were sleeping. However, on the first evening, Beato sent us a letter that sounded like an advance notice, and they carried out a 3-part serial murder with large gaps in between. The 6 people of the first twilight, the 2 people of the second twilight, and the 5 people of the fourth and later twilights. We aren't fools. Once the first murders occur, we barricade ourselves in somewhere to stave off any further murders. Furthermore, we quickly suspect a culprit among us, and start analyzing each other's alibis. As the victims increase, the number of suspects decreases automatically, and Beato's chances of success in the serial murder drop closer and closer to 0. All the epitaph murders are like she's strangling her own neck, making it harder to succeed in the serial murder she's attempting. All for a useless embellishment, all just for show.
こいつは自分で自分の目的の難易度。
そうなりますね。おかしな子ですね。
知ってるか？ミステリー小説ではこういう非分殺人のこと、この見立て殺人が行われる理由を俺は3つに大別できると思ってる。
伺いましょう。
1つは非分に沿うことで証拠やアリバイをごまかし、犯人に死んだふりをして自らを犠牲者に混ぜる古典もこれだし、非分に沿わずに殺人を犯し、その発生順序を誤解させることによってアリバイを作るのもこれだ。
なるほど。非分に沿って儀式的に殺していると見せかけて、実は自分に利するように誘導して面白いと思います。
だが俺たちのゲームでは、ゲーム版の世界ではごまかせても、ここから俯瞰する俺たちはごまかせない。だからこの最も王道となる目的は違う
となると、見立て殺人を行う。
一つは偶然、意図せずして行った連続殺人がたまたま非分をなぞる形で、
very unlikely.
目撃者たちが勝手に見立て、人間はどのような事象にも因果性を求めてしまう。きっとそうに違いないと思ったら、そう見えてしまう生き物。
なるほど。それも面白いですね。ですがどうでしょう。この子のゲームでは第一の番の殺人以前、そして明白に非分殺人を遂行していることを示す手紙や、
ああ、そう、偶然なんかじゃない。ベアトは初めから非分殺人を見せつける目的で遂行している。俺たちが誤解してるんじゃない。これは明白な見立て殺人なんだ。だからこの理由でもない。
となると最後の一つの、
最後の一つはつまり恐怖だ。非分に沿うということは、殺人が連続するという生存者たちは続くに違いない殺人にずっと怯えさせられることになる。
つまりこの子は死の恐怖を味わわせるために非分殺人を、
と思うと、グロい遺体損壊も悪趣味な装飾もすべて俺た
誰を怖がらせるため。
だからそれは俺たちを。
After hearing that one line Virgilio spoke so casually, my thoughts clouded over once again. Yeah. You go back to the end of episode 4, where there was a version of Beato that clearly wanted you to remember something, clearly, had something held against you, something you did, that you don't remember apparently. Is it really sufficient to use the vague word us? Or maybe it's the player? There are many humans in the Yoshiromiya family. There's the head and the one who holds the rank of his successor, grandfather Noko Kraus. There's the relatives who have some pull in the business world. On the other side, you have the young cousins who usually visit at most once a year. And the unfortunate servants who just so happen to be on duty that day. Even if the culprit hates all of us, there should be clear differences in how much they hate some of us compared to others. So it should be possible to pick out people among us, god damn it again, that the culprit especially wanted to terrorize or have revenge against. If we liken this to a kid eating dessert, isn't the strawberry on top of the shortcake the part you should eat last? What? What? No. No one tells you that you shouldn't eat it first, but our mentality encourages us to save it for later. What? Nah, must be a Japanese thing. Or maybe I just grew up in a weird area. Like, nah, if there's like a little piece of fruit on top of your fucking dessert. Like, oh, there's a strawberry on top, there's a little cherry on top. That's like the first thing you eat. What are you talking about? It's everything underneath the fruit that's what you really want to get to. No one gives a fuck about the actual fruit. Unless it's like a whole, like, yo, what the fuck is the word? Topping, you know? Like, it's topped with like a bunch of like cherries and cherry sauce, like on a cherry cheesecake, you know, that's nice, you know? But if it's like a single strawberry, a single cherry, just this one little piece of fruit, decorating the whole piece, like, nah, that's the first thing, just grab that. Oh, alright, now let's get to the good shit.
Ah, 俺の好きな小説の好きなキャラが言ってたぜ。そいつの親しいものから先に殺していって一番恐ろしい殺し方なんだみたいなことを。
おやおや、恐ろしい小説もくわばらくわばら。
じゃあ最後まで生き残るやつが最もベアトに恨まれてるって文法になるぜ。
Just out of curiosity, who's the one person who's stayed alive till the end every single time? Just curious. I'd just like to know, because if we think about it, oh, episode 1, who stayed alive to the very end? You know, it was the cousins. It was all the cousins that made it to the very end. And then episode 2, no one made it to the end, technically. But there was, you know, the one person who died last. Oh, I wonder who that could have been. And then in episode 3, what the fuck? I don't remember what the fuck happened in episode 3. I really don't. I don't remember the exact ending, is what I'm trying to get at. I just remember, like, oh yeah, we end up in the world of witches. Okay, and then it's like, oh, sign the thing that says you believe in witches. Oh, JK, lol. And then Angie. And then episode 4, who stayed alive to the very end. Oh yeah, no, it was definitely Battler.
しかし毎回殺される人
Except
間も
for
順序も
one.
めちゃくちゃじゃね
I
えか。
wonder who that could be, buddy.
最終的には死ぬにせよ。最後の晩まで毎回生き残るやつなんて。
Hey, there it is. I'm the only one.
先に赤でバトラ君は犯人ではありませんよ。
I mean, that one's...
バトラ君は誰も殺してはい。これは全てのゲームにおいて言えることです。
ならなおのこと。俺ってことになる。こいつが非分殺人を起こす唯一の理由は俺に見せつけるためってことになる。
Crazy. Every time Beto brags that she'll choose whom to kill next with a roulette. However, I'm the only one she never kills. So if she does kill me in the end, she leaves me be until the very last moment. In all these supposedly random games, there's only this one unchanging constant. Mm-hmm.
こいつは俺に復讐、俺に恐怖を味わわせるために非分殺人を。
それは違います。恐怖を味わわせるのが目的で、誰かに復讐するためのものでもありません。
It's not necessarily for revenge. Like, the whole thing, like, at the end of episode 4, she just wanted him to remember. He wanted him to remember. She didn't necessarily want to take revenge on him. She wanted him to remember what he had done, whatever that was.
ならやはり非分殺人には意味なんてないことになる。非分の謎も無意味、対となる非分殺人も無意味。
Yes.
X イコール Y イコール0。
Correct.
だがその無意味をこいつは明白に俺に対して見せつけている。無意味なことと同価値の何を俺に求めているんだ。わからねえ。考えれば考えるほどにこいつが何を考えてるのか俺にはわからねえ。
Beatrice, the fickle witch who committed a meaningless, worthless string of serial murders. Even the epitaph's riddle, which that witch used as the trigger that could suspend the serial murders, is meaningless, immaterial. And yet, she's thrusting this meaningless, immaterial thing in front of my face. What is it that you want from me? Or else, what is it that you're giving me? My idea that Beato has clearly been taking revenge on me has already been denied by Virgilia's Red Truth. Both X and Y. Both the Epitaph murders and the Epitaph's riddle hold no meaning for Beatrice. X equals Y equals 0. However, since she's thrusting those things in front of me, they must have some meaning. To you. They have meaning to you. It means a lot when you see these things happen, but to her, they're just tools. Well, I mean, if they are tools to get to you, then in a sense they do have some kind of meaning. I don't know. Depends how technical you want to get to it. Essentially, she's saying if someone solves the epitaph, doesn't matter. If so-and-so dies, it doesn't matter. What matters is that these events hold significance for him. But yeah, like I said, if you want to get real twisted, the fact that they hold significance for him, in turn, means they hold some kind of significance for him. And She showed us the scales representing if you don't solve the epitaph or carry out the epitaph murders. In other words, neither the epitaph murders nor the epitaph's riddle have any significance by themselves. However, it becomes meaningful when she puts both halves on the scales and puts them on display before us. No, before me. In other words, it should be like this. X equals 0. Y equals 0. X plus Y is greater than 0. A scale with meaningless, weightless things on both sides. However, it has weight itself and gives the rest meaning. I mean, there's a reason this whole scenario is called a game. Why they're called games. Rock, paper, scissors is an extremely familiar method of randomly determining a winner and loser. You sometimes wager some sort of reward on the outcome, but kids often do rock, paper, scissors just to play, without betting anything in particular. Unless you bet something, you have nothing to gain or lose except happiness and frustration. In other words, the two sides of the scale, both winning and losing, are immaterial. However, the very act of seeing which way it will tip is the reason kids play rock, paper, scissors. After all, the kids are enjoying the communication that surrounds the game, and they aren't purely interested in the value of winning or losing. They aren't overly concerned about who wins and who loses. Yeah, no red to counter that one, huh?
無意味な殺人を繰り返す非道な魔女だが今の俺にはそうとは
ありがとう。だから赤をもう一ベアとは快楽目的で殺人を行っていることはありません。
She didn't do it for pleasure, and she didn't do it to make anyone feel fear. Since she has nothing to gain, she doesn't care whether the epitaph murders succeed or fail. It's almost like a random game kids would play.
違う。意味があるんだ。こいつには。
意味とは。
わからない。天秤の両端は無価値だ。こいつにとってこの天秤は
Of course, it
しっ
isn't
かりと重み
meaningless.
あるものなんだ。
Some meaning definitely exists. In the previous game, she urged me to remember my sin of 6 years ago. Am I supposed to believe that that was meaningless too? No, that's like the one thing you should really be thinking, like, okay, what was...
違う。絶対にそんなことはない。
I clearly remember the serious gaze Beato had back then. Unfortunately, I didn't have a clue what she meant. When she saw that, she was horribly dejected. That's right. At that time, I'm sure she even went so far as to say that the crime wouldn't have occurred if I hadn't come.
意味はこいつにとっては。そしてそれを俺に。
I laughed softly and poked Beato lightly on the head, then patted her head.
ラブレターには次からは好きですと短く書く。あまり回りくどくて難解だと意味が伝わらねえぞ。こいつが何を考えてるのか。だが俺は考えることをまだまだ実盤をひっくり返せ。お前の思考をたどる旅を俺は絶対にくじけないからな。
Okay. Okay. Interesting.